The piece that I had, yo, like God's really showing out right now. We were just all black. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing a personal story, and it's one that I'm excited to share, but also a little like oof, because we're going to go down memory lane and all that. What inspired me to do this video was there was this sound trending on like TikTok and Instagram, and I decided to make a reel to it in TikTok. And then I realized, just trying to find the photos to kind of piece it together, I realized that like crap, like I've come a long way, and one, I don't think I've actually ever shared it. So today I'm just gonna be sharing how I got into hair and all that stuff. I wrote a whole list because I was like, I didn't want to forget anything. If this is your first time here, my name is Kemi, also known as Mita Hair. I've been doing hair for the last 4 years. Yeah, about 4 years now actually, and this is my journey. So let's jump all the way to the beginning. I'm Nigerian American. I just call myself Nigerian. I don't know why I just said that. I'm Nigerian, but I was born in America. I was born in Washington, D.C., but we lived in Maryland at the time, so DMV area. Shout out, comment down below. Lived there till I was 5 years old with my parents and my siblings. My parents were like, oh, it's time to learn about the culture, so you guys are gonna go live in Nigeria. And we're like, I mean, cool. We didn't really know much about Nigeria. We were like, fine, I guess we're moving. And I'll never forget it. It was literally the middle of the day at school when my mom came to come pick me up. It wasn't traumatizing, I promise. Like, we knew. It just happened that like, I don't know why they bought our ticket during the middle of the school year, but that's just when they bought our ticket. So that's what happened. So I know a lot of kids in Nigeria, they go through a whole traumatizing experience where it's like, their parents like, hey, you're just going for vacation, and then they don't come back for years. They let us know. Moving to Nigeria is honestly where the whole passion started. Every Sunday, if you grew up in Nigeria, I feel like any African country, every Sunday you go to the woman at the shop, you go get your hair done. Like in the school, they'll call different styles. Sometimes you have like a little moment comes to the side, and then the rest of your ponytail, or like all back, different stuff like that. So we had to do every week, and we'll go to the shop every single Sunday. That was just our regular Sundays. Sometimes, if you know, you know, but like you'll have to put your head between like the old woman's leg, like if they're doing like the back of your head and they're doing like a feed-in ponytail type of thing. But yeah, you have to put your leg between the old woman. It was a whole thing. It was a whole shebang. But yeah, that's how it all happened. And I think honestly, just growing up and seeing that every Sunday for about 7 years, I think subconsciously I just kind of picked up what it is to do your hair. Because going to the shop, like I said, we were there every single Sunday getting your hair done. And then during like Christmas and holiday time, that's when like you had the free will to like have fun and stuff, and you go in and add maybe like you'll actually do like for like braids or like extensions and stuff. And then my mom got her hair done often as well. You just seeing that, then I think subconsciously I just kind of like, oh, that's how you picked it. Not that I intended to learn how to do hair. I think just seeing it, I kind of just absorbed the information and I left it at that. After we lived in Nigeria for about 7 years, my parents were like, okay, it's time to come back. And we're like, okay, cool. Again, we're kids. We don't really know what's going on. They were just like, okay, it's time to come back. We're like, okay, cool. I guess we're coming back to America. And I remember being so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, it feels like we're going back home, which I don't know. I considered America home and Nigeria not home, whatever. But I was like, I'm excited to go home. I remember me and my brother were constantly asking that, did you buy a plane ticket? Did you buy a plane ticket? Did you buy a plane ticket? Like we used to ask him every single day of like for like a month leading up, just trying to know when we're coming back home. So eventually in 2012 we came back, and it was rough. I can't even lie. The transition from being Nigerian in a pretty much all black, I mean, of course there'll be the anomalies of maybe like you see an Asian here, or like I remember the school that I went to, we had a mix of kids who were Brazilian and Nigerian, so you might see a little bit of that, but like predominantly Nigeria is mainly black. Like it wasn't really, we were just all black. Like, so I remember coming here and then trying to adjust to school. I went from a place where it was like, we were all black, we were all Nigerian, we were all the same. Like, I didn't know what racism and race was until I moved here. Like, it wasn't, how you gonna discuss about race when like we all black? Like, it wasn't a discussion in Nigeria at all. Anyway, back to my whole story. So then, of course, coming back here, it's not the same where you go to the shop every week and get your hair done. This is more like you get your braids done and you keep them in for like a month, probably 2-3 months, honestly, if you want to save your money. My dad used to pay to get my hair done, and I used to go about every week or so. My bad. About every month or so. And after a while, I was like, this man's paying like $100 to get my hair done every now and then. I'm like, this kind of adding up a little. I was like, let me help the old man out. I was like, let me just help him out type of thing. So then one day, I remember it was December 2014, I decided I'm gonna do my own hair. Because again, I had already picked up things from Nigeria, just seeing it. I kind of had an idea of what I was gonna do. And I'll never forget it. I still have a photo. I'm gonna add it right here. The very first style that I did. And I remember being so proud of myself. And everybody was like, how did you do your own hair? Like, how was that even possible? And I was like, I don't know, I just did it. And it was just one of those things where like people, like some people were like, how is that even possible? And I'm like, I don't know. They're like, who taught you? I was like, I don't know. Like, so after doing my hair, of course, I go to a predominantly Nigerian church. So people are like, oh my gosh, you did your hair. It looks nice. I was like, thank you. I did it myself, type of thing. And they're like, oh, do you do other people's hair? I was like, I do my own hair, but that's about it. And they were like, oh, can you do my own hair? I was like, I mean, sure. And one thing I will say that kind of helped me along this way, I'm going to go into deeper a lot later, is having a community of like predominantly Black women. One thing about Black women, we need our hair done, and we're gonna find a way, somehow, some way, we're gonna get our hair done. So honestly, I kind of started that way. I started to do my friend's hair little by little. I even found the first Instagram page I ever created when I was 15 years old. Little by little, I kind of started to like do other people's hair. But of course, even though I had a knack for it and I kind of picked it up like visually in Nigeria, doing it is a completely different scenario. And although I did do my hair well the very first time, doing other people's hair and then trying new styles was, boy, that was not the easiest thing ever to do. So of course I started to do other people's hair, and like it sucked because I just started out. I was just starting to learn how to do hair, and I didn't take that very well because I just felt like this. I'm very dramatic in this way, and I'll say this multiple times on this channel. I just didn't want people to come to me and feel like they wasted their money, even though I was only charged, I think I was only charging about $60, $65, but like that's still people's money that they work hard for. And I'm like, I never want somebody to come to me and feel like, damn, I wasted my money going to her, because that, like, I just didn't take that very well. So after a while of doing hair, off and on, I kind of just did it here and there, little bits and pieces of like my friends and my family and all that, and my sister's friends. And after that, I got to a point where I was like, I just felt like I was wasting people's money. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this. And at that point, I didn't really find joy in it anymore, because like I wasn't really good at it. It was kind of something that I just did to like have a little bit of pocket money. It wasn't something that like I actually got like really miserable in doing hair. Like I was just like, I have to do this. And one thing about me, I feel like as a true Gen Z or whatever, even though I'm like on the older spectrum, if I don't like something, I'm not gonna do it. All my jobs that I've quit, when I started to get unhappy and I honestly, just the thought of going to work got me mad, I was out the door. So then I stopped doing hair because I was just like, I'm just like miserable right now. I'm like, I'm not having fun. This is not cute. My skill set sucks. I feel like people are wasting my money. I'm going through a whole like anxiety and like depressive like episode after doing people's hair because I'm stressed. Because again, I was doing people at my church's hair, so I'll see their hair like 2 weeks after I did it looking like it's been in their hair for 6 weeks. I didn't take it very well. So then I kind of just decided to stop. And throughout this whole period, I continued to do my own hair. And I don't know what it was. Going into summer 2018, I just decided I want to be booked and busy. How I was going to be booked and busy, I didn't quite know. And during this time as well, I actually dabbled in a little bit of makeup too. I don't know how it was going to happen. I didn't really have any clientele. I had to quit doing hair. But I was like, I'm going to be booked and busy, and God heard me. He answered my prayers, and I was that exactly in summer 2018. I did everything. I was doing makeup, I was doing braids, I was doing wigs. And by that time, my skills had gotten better to where I felt more comfortable doing people's hair, to where I didn't feel like they were wasting their money on me, and they were actually getting their money's worth. So I think I gained a little bit of confidence in doing that. And I actually derived joy because at this point, my skill set was better, so I could try out different hairstyles. And I just had a lot more fun with it. And then fall of 2018, after that whole summer, which I feel like summer, if you're a service provider, it's a really busy month. People were getting their wigs done. I remember I was making wigs like left and right, back to back. People were doing like blonde colors. And then for makeup was really busy because the summer months are also wedding months. So I was doing a lot of like either bridesmaids makeup or bridal hairstyles. All that stuff happened in summer 18. So then fall 2018, I went into my second year of college and I transferred to Rutgers University, which that's a different story in itself. But I transferred into Rutgers University, and I remember that was when I met my very first, who I call like my very first like loyal client. And don't get me wrong, I've had multiple people that have supported me. One of my mentors, Antonifa, like she supported me through it all. But one of my core clients that I remember, I was like, oh, so this is actually like what it feels like to have loyal clientele, was another woman that goes to my church. Her name is Busola. And I remember, and I think God places different people in your life for different reasons. And till today, I will be forever grateful to Busola and God for placing her in my life. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I thought my skill set had gotten better, but I thought my skill set was more like a 60 to 70%. Whenever I did Busola's hair, she made me feel like I had done like 110% job, to where like, even if I like was doubting myself, the way she would gas up the work and just be so happy and excited about it, I'm like, oh, like I'm kind of doing my thing a little bit. When she was taking out her style that she just did, she's talking about, it's like, okay, Kemi, what are we doing next? And we'll plan out her next hairstyle. And like we did our hair like back to back, and I remember that. And she was actually the very first person I believe I did feed-in braids on. I remember doing that, and looking back now, I'm like, that was rough. But like I did it on her, and even then I didn't think, like right now I thought it was rough. Then I thought it was just like a little rough, but it still looked good. But like the way she gassed it up and was just so proud of it made me even further proud of my work. And even though, like I said, my work wasn't the greatest, she made me feel like I was doing something freaking magical in her head. One thing that I'm going to continue to say throughout this journey is the importance of who God places in your life. God will place certain people in your life, and you just know that like they were God sent, and like he put them in there for a particular reason in a particular season, and you can't deny that once you realize the impact that they're having on your life. So again, fall 2018, that's when I really started to do hair. And one thing about me is I don't like to diagnose myself, because there's not a medical diagnosis. I haven't got diagnosed, but I have a lot of anxious. I can get very anxious. I don't want to say I have anxiety, because I want to do that, but I can get very anxious. Like it's just like I'm doing a lot better now, but a lot of things causes me to like panic and tense. I'm like, oh my gosh, like full-on panic attacks sometimes. And the one thing I can say when I started my business is the peace that I had. You know, there's a Bible verse that talks about peace beyond your own understanding. That's what I had when I started this business, and that's how I knew this is where I'm meant to be. I had just started doing other people's hair and all that, and one thing that I never worried about was getting clientele. Keep in mind, I wasn't really posting on social media, because honestly, I just got used to posting on social media like yesterday, if I mean like literally. I just got used to posting on social media like probably like a month ago or so. Like posting on social media is just not something that I enjoy. I'm like, people are gonna judge me, they're gonna criticize me. I probably post it once every 3 months then. I'm not even joking. But I never ever struggled with clientele, and that was something that God gave me peace on. Like it could literally be like Monday, Tuesday. Keep in mind, I was going to school Monday through Thursday, and I'll have Friday, Saturday off. That's when I usually did hair. And like literally it could be like Monday or Tuesday, sometimes even Wednesday, and I never ever panic if I'm gonna have a client for that week, because I always just believe that like God would do it. And it was such an assurance and such a confidence that I'm like, knowing who I am and how anxious I get, it didn't make sense that I was so assured, and the fact that I was gonna have clients when it's like, girl, it's in 2 days before your work days and you still don't have a client. But like every single weekend I had a client, and I'm not even joking. And that was when I knew that I'm like, oh, so this is where God wants me to be. And that was one of the things where I'm like, where they talk about peace, because they always say a way to know something's from God sometimes is if you have peace. And when I experience that peace, it's something that I'm like, this is what they mean when they say that. Like I never worried about getting clients. Like it always came from the most random place at the latest time. Sometimes it's literally the day before, and I will still get that client for that weekend, and I'm just like, yo, like God's really showing out right now. And I'm just like, it was something that like I could not explain, but he made a way and he made it work. So after working that whole fall 2018, I was still in school, and I also had my job at Bath and Body Works, which I didn't get a lot of hours of during the summer, but during holiday season it picked back up. So I was doing Bath and Body Works, I was doing school, and I had clientele for hair. It just became a lot, and again, I didn't really like my job at Bath and Body Works anymore. So what did I do? I took a leap of faith, and I was like, I don't feel like going into 2019 with another job. Like this hair is about to be it, and that's just what it's gonna be. So took a leap of faith, which I don't know if it was dumb or God's confidence, but I quit my job in 2018, and 2019 I started afresh just doing hair. Like, that was just what it was. I was like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. All of 2019 I'm still perfecting my skills, and then I believe either late 2019 or early 2020, that's when I got my very first client that I did not know. So pretty much up until this point, all my clients had been either people from my church or people that like my church recommended. So it all been through recommendations and referrals. But this very first client, Miss Alicia Allen, I'll always remember her as well too, and I still do her hair till today. She saw a hair that I did on my friend at TJ Maxx, I believe. She's like, oh my gosh, I like your hair. And I remember my friend texted me like, hey, I gave this woman your number. I think she texted me. Belly, did you text me? My friend had texted me like, hey, I gave your number to this woman. And I was like, okay, cool. And you know how some people say that, but like sometimes nothing comes of it. However, this woman texted me and she came to get her hair done. And I remember feeling so accomplished and so proud, because I was like, oh my gosh, I got my first client who, like, she genuinely just saw my work and she just liked it. During that time, although I believe my work was getting better and people from church were supporting me, I feel like part of me subconsciously was kind of like, were they still supporting me because they knew me? Like, people that know you are going to extend a certain grace to you. And I felt like that was still part of it. So for me to get my very first client outside of that was like, whoa, like, you did a thing. So I remember I did her hair. It fell apart. Sadly, it fell apart. But one thing I will say is, when you have let me say, a good heart and you have a good spirit, and just if you're just kind to people, people will see the potential in you even if you're not there yet. Although that hair fell apart, Miss Alicia still believed in me, and she still came and she goes, hey Kemi, like, I love my hair now, but like, it fell apart. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Again, I took it so hard. I got so anxious. I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like my heart was about to. I'm very, very dramatic, in case you couldn't tell by now. So I remember she still came back. That happened in, like, I think, like I said, late 2019, early 2020. She still comes to me till today to get her hair done. And even though, like, the job that I did wasn't really, like, if you were to, like, let's think about it logically. If you were to go to somebody the first time you did their hair and it's literally falling apart, the logical thing will probably be never to go back to that person again. But I think she saw, like, we just had a great time together, honestly, just chatting. And honestly, maybe, I guess because I was kind to her, I had a good spirit or whatever. When you have a good heart, I think people connect with that and they see the potential in you. So she still kept coming back to me, even though that one style was a little rough and all. And that was not the only time a hairstyle I did on her was rough, but she kept coming back. And I'm glad that I'm now at the point where, like, I can do her hair and, like, in confidence and know that, like, I've done a great job. Yeah, so I worked all of 2019, and then going into 2020, I was like, okay, this is getting kind of serious. I couldn't book everybody through text anymore. I was like, let me start booking people through a scheduling website. So then I created my Acuity, which was another, like, really big deal for me. It's like, okay, this is getting serious. Like, you're a businesswoman now. Like, you have a scheduling website? What's all this? And then I did hair January, February, started doing hair in March. I think I had like 1 or 2 clients, one of them being Miss Alicia. And then COVID hit and everything shut down. And I was like, oh, so what now? Like, what we gonna do? I remember I did my hair and I posted a few YouTube videos about that and stuff. But for the most part, there was nothing really to do but to sit at your house. And going into June 2020, I was like, COVID kind of didn't really die down a little bit, but it kind of, things started to open back up slowly but surely. So I was like, okay, it's time to get back to work, because again, I didn't have any other job. So pretty much the whole of the remainder of March, April and May, I didn't work. Let me start up. And people had been asking a lot because, like, things were starting to open up little by little. So I was like, okay, let me start doing hair again. I remember this was my first but also kind of second client. She was also another milestone. Her name is Talia, and she had found me on Instagram. So Miss Alicia had found me in person through my friend's hair, which was still nice. It was still a recommendation, but Talia just found me on Instagram. Like, she just searched a hashtag and my name popped up and she found me. And I was like, I remember calling myself like, oh my gosh, I got my very first client from Instagram. I was like, this is so exciting. And then this is one thing that I'm going to talk about in another discussion, but the power of word of mouth. So I got Talia, I did her hair, and then I believe Talia told somebody else, and I believe she told somebody else who told somebody else, and then I got a few clients from then, and then I got my second client from Instagram. Her name is Keisha. I still remember Keisha till today, and I remember doing Keisha's hair, and Keisha, no joke, recommended me to at least like 10 people. all of which came. So keep in mind, I had been getting clients every single weekend prior in like the late 18, 19, and a little bit of 20. But it wasn't like to where I'm like almost getting overbooked, or like my scheduling was filling up to was tight. Like I had clients, don't get me wrong, every single weekend, but it was like I had clients, but I also still had time to do other stuff. Like this was like, I was like, for real, like the booked and busy that I had in 2018, it didn't compare to the booked and busy that happened in 2020. This was like for real booked and busy, to where like people were asking for squeezing dates. I was like, oh. And I'm just like, yo, this woman met me once, did her hair for me once, and she recommended me to so many people. And I was just like, this is really crazy. Because like people would just be coming to get their hair done. I'm like, oh, how'd you know me, Keisha? Oh, how'd you know me, Keisha? I'm like, how many people does this girl know? But like, I'm so grateful to her for like putting the word out. So that's what happened that summer. And then that was the start of me getting like booked and busy, to where it was another milestone for me in feeling like, wow. Like the scheduling website was a moment. Having Miss Alicia as like the first client that I didn't know, even having Talia, and then Keisha recommend me. These are all little milestones. And after the whole Keisha thing, that's when things really kicked off. That was also the summer where unfortunately George Floyd had been murdered. And that was when the whole Black Lives Matter was going on, the marches and all that. It was also a time when people wanted to just pour back into the Black community, and rightfully so. So a lot of group chats were created just to support, like it was a very much pro-Black summer, to say. In New Jersey, they created a Black-owned businesses group chat on Facebook. I wasn't aware of this at this time. And of course, people will post about their business and yada, yada, yada. We'll get to that later. I got a client in my chair one day and she came. I was like, hey, by the way, again, I'm still getting to this whole thing of like, genuinely people just booking me that I have no idea who they are. I'm still like, I was so used to just people being like, oh yeah, I know you from like Rachel, or I know you from Monica. Those are what am I saying? I know you from, I know you from like Lola, or I know you from Jessica. So this woman came in my chair, she sat down, she got her hair done. I'm like, oh, because I like to ask I try now, if I remember. I like to ask all my clients how they heard about me, just so I know what's working and what's not working, and I keep track of all of that. So I asked her, I was like, hey, by the way, how did you hear me? She goes, oh, Facebook. And I'm thinking like, I don't got Facebook. And I'm like, I think this woman came to the wrong person, but like, thank you God anyway, because I got a client. Are you sure? Because I was like, because I'm not on Facebook. She goes, yeah, no, I saw you in a group. And I'm like, I don't have Facebook. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, woman, but like, I think you got the wrong person. And then she pulled up the group chat. I was like, hey, can you like actually find the group chat? Like, I want to see, put my name there, like what you're talking about. And then she had found it, and then she showed me who put my name in there. And again, this is why Busala will mean a lot to me, the person that I mentioned earlier. Her sister, who also does wigs, Adesoye, had put me in that group chat. She put me in that group chat. She didn't really know. I think somebody was just asking for braids. Keep in mind, Adesoye had never gotten her hair done by me, ever. I've only done her sister's hair. It goes to say about people trusting you before they even experience your work. And that happened a lot. There were so many times where people recommended me where it's like, I've not even done their hair yet. They just saw something else that I did. I'm like, hey, Kemi does hair, go to her. And I'm like, oh, how did you know me? They're like, oh, from this person. I'm like, I never even did that person's hair, but they just saw what I did on somebody else, or they heard about an experience and they recommended me. And that was what she did, because I'm guessing from her sister's hair. But I had never done her hair, and then she told me about it, and I was like, oh, okay, that's so nice that she put my name in there. I just thought I had got the one client, and then that was it. So then I remember texting Adesoye. I was like, hey, by the way, thank you so much for putting my name in the group chat. I got the client, thank you so much. I thought that was the end of it. That was not the end of it. So then the client that I'd done her hair, she loved her hair so much that she went back into the group chat, and she went back to the message and commented like, hey, by the way, I went to her and her work was really good. Like, she raved about me a little bit. I remember waking up the next morning and I had checked I opened my phone. Probably not the best thing to do. Anyway, I opened my phone first thing in the morning and I see my notifications, and I had gotten like 20 new followers and a bunch of messages, and I'm just like, what type of glitch is happening in the system right now? Because how did that happen? I don't even know how many followers I had then. Probably around 300, 200, 300, somewhere around there. But I was just like, this has to be some type of glitch in the system. Like, who are all these people following me? I remember I screen recorded because I was like, just so I know I'm not tripping, I wanted to have a record of it. And they kept talking about a Facebook group, and then I realized that like that woman had gone back to go rave about me in the group chat. And then everything truly picked up after then. I was again, I experienced another level of booked and busy. This is now going into like 2020 up until now. The way I got booked out to where I even started to create squeezing appointments, and I charged an extra fee for it, and people paid it, and I act like people paid it gladly, and I was like, oh, like y'all like me for real right now? Like, I was so shocked because I was like, really? But like, going back to what I keep saying, God is gonna, when you start a business and it's one that like God is like with you on, and he's like supportive, not supportive, I don't know if that's the right word, when he's guiding you and leading you towards, he's gonna put the people that you need in your life, people that like, they might not even know you, but they're there to serve their own purpose, if that makes sense. So like, I dislike never really knowing me. Like, I've never done her hair, I've only done her sister's hair, but she put my name in that group chat. Like, God will send people in your life to where they will speak for you before you even have to speak for yourself, and they will rave about you without even fully like knowing you, but just based on either God put it on their heart or whatever it is. But like, he will put people out there that like, they will do the talking, they will almost promote you to newer and higher grounds. And it's one of those crazy things where like, Adesanya is not also another person where I'm like forever grateful for, because she didn't have to do that. Like, she did not have to put my name in there. Of all the people that does hair, of other people that do hair and all that, she didn't have to put my name in that. And then again, the woman that went back, not only just got her hair and bounced, she went back to go then leave another review. All these things leading up all led to where I am today, and I'm just so grateful of all the people that God put in my life, to where like, I didn't even have to do much of the talking. Like, they just like, they made me feel like they just sold me out to the people, not sold me out in a bad way, but like, they sold me to the people and to my clients. It genuinely was just one of those like great moments where I'm like, wow, like every week I was just like, more people are coming to see me that I didn't know. And I'm like, people were like, oh, I just found you on Instagram, I found you on Facebook. And a lot of people found me from that Facebook group, all because one person decided to go put my name in there. I still have some of my loyal clients that I consider loyal clients that they came from that Facebook group, and they still book with me today, 2 years later. All that would not have happened without her putting my name in that group chat. So that happened, my business really blew up, and it really took off late 2020 into 2021. And I'm not gonna lie and say I didn't deal with a little bit of fear and doubt along the way. It was definitely something that I'm still working through, honestly, sometimes, because it's human nature to just have those moments where you're like, okay, so like getting the clientele and doing hair is the first step. To now take my business to the next level, that's like, whoa, that's a whole different step. I feel like I talked a lot and I chatted a lot, and I don't even know where I ended up the story, but yeah, we're here in, what is it now, November 2022. I'm still doing my business, exciting things are coming, and I just wanted to share this story, hopefully as, I don't know, testimony, honestly, encouragement, get to know me a little bit better, maybe a sign that you're also looking from God. I was like, let me do this video and put it out there, because God did a lot more in there that I didn't talk about, which I can talk about, especially with my whole depression and having anxious moments and stuff, which I can talk about at a later date. But God really worked on me, and I'm glad to where I am today, and I'm still a work in progress, which I'm really grateful for. So yeah, I say all this to say, I don't know how to end out this video, but I just wanted to share my journey and my testimony and what it is to come, and just how I've been doing hair and why I started it and how I got started, the journey and all that. And there's many more to come. I'm launching a class very soon, and because this is another prayer that I had to go to God for, and I'm like, hey, so is this the time? Because I tried to do it before and it wasn't the right time. So now I'm trying to go at it again. So yeah, I'm excited to launch class and to launch a bit more business aspect. I'll be talking about a little bit of this. If you want to start out your business and all that, that will also be covered in the class. But this is my story, and I hope you all have a great day, and it was great chatting with you all.